Did you know that in Denmark, you can make money from having a mortgage? It's really just a product of the way our mortgage system works. I was originally gonna make a different video, a video comparing investing in stocks versus paying off your mortgage. And one of the key arguments was that you can actually play the interest rate market. But it turns out this is only something that you can do in Denmark. It is not something that is freely available to other countries. So instead, let me tell you all about how the Danish bond market works and why you can actually make money from having a mortgage. Okay, so for this to make sense, let's make an example and let's use real money in it. Let's say that I take out a mortgage of 100,000 USD. Well, when I want a mortgage of 100k, a bond is actually created where investors can lend me their money and I will in return promise them to pay back all of their money plus some interest rate over a given period of time. The most normal period of time is 30 years. If I decide to take a fixed rate loan on my mortgage, I will always have to pay the agreed upon interest rate for my house and my mortgage. That rate is 4%. Now, something important you need to know is that I always have the right, not the obligation, but the right to pay back my loan at any given time at price 100. Now, price 100 means that I will just have to pay 100% of the money that I loan. Yes, I can also just pay back over the 30 years, but say that I won the lottery and I wanted to be debt-free, I can always just give him the 100k we use in this example and be debt-free. But because my mortgage is also tied up to the free bond market, I can also purchase it back at a different price, the market price. And this is where the true money making comes in. So what usually happens when you have a fixed interest loan at say 4% and the free market interest rate rises to 5%, that actually makes the bond that was created to make my mortgage less attractive because the investors could now take that money and get a higher interest rate. So of course, in the free market, the price of this bond will fall. And it's usually true that when the market interest rate rises by 1%, the price of the bond is gonna fall anywhere from 6 to 8 points. That means that in our example here, the 100k at 4% interest rate, if the free market interest rate goes up to 5%, the price of my mortgage will then fall to say price 92. That means that I can purchase back my bond at 92,000 instead of 100,000. These are just the free market dynamics. Okay, so let's go back to our example. We have 100k in mortgage and we have the fixed rate loan of 4% interest rate, but now the market interest rate is at 5%. Well, because the free market interest rate just increased by 1 point, we would expect the free market price of our bond to fall by about 8 points. So now I'm gonna convert up. That means that I'm gonna go out and take a new loan at the higher interest rate, the 5%. But here's the kicker. I don't have to borrow 100k to purchase back my old obligation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the 92k at 5% interest rate and use it to purchase the bond that I originally had. So now I'm left with a new bond at 92k, but at a slightly higher interest rate. And you might think, well, okay, that's all good and dandy, you now owe less than you originally did, but you also got it at a higher interest rate. So how did you make money? Right? Over the 30-year period, that 1% increase in interest rate is surely gonna eat out whatever profit that you made here. And that's true. But here's the kicker. I can also convert down. Well, if the market interest rate now goes back to say 3%, I can do the exact same thing. We're gonna go out and create a new bond at 3% for the exact same amount, 92k. I'm then gonna take the 92k that I just got and use it to purchase this old bond. Because remember the right that I told you about in the beginning? I can always just give price 100, so pay back all of the money that I owe and purchase at price 100. That is my right. We started with owing 100k, 4% interest rate. Now we owe 92k at a 3% interest rate. Crazy, right? Of course, this is not free money. Let's say that the 5% interest rate never fell back down. Maybe it just kept going and all of a sudden it was 10% interest rate and now you were just sitting with a more expensive loan. That's true. But the interest market has a tendency of fluctuating, just like stock prices. Of course, it doesn't fluctuate as much and it doesn't happen nearly as quickly. But if you take a long period, say all 30 years that my mortgage is, there's presumably going to be a lot of really good opportunities to make these conversions. Of course, this is not completely free. There's always going to be some expenses, costs of doing these trades, but usually not more than 1 to 2K. So let's say you have a really expensive house. Maybe you have a mortgage on $1 million, right? Well, all of a sudden, if the interest rate rises by 1% and the bond that created your mortgage now falls by 8 points, well, that's 80K you now suddenly can cut off your total debt. So the more expensive your mortgage really is, the more money there is to be made here. I'm really shocked that this system is only available in Denmark. If you are living in a different place, I would really make some noise here and make sure you get this reform. Because remember, when you take out a mortgage in, say, America, some credit institution, they are trading your bonds in the free market just like this. It's just something that's not available to you. So they're making all of the money that you would be making, and that's not okay. I might still make a more internationally relevant video where we talk about investing your money in stocks, or perhaps paying back your mortgage a little bit quicker than you would usually. TLDR, it's most likely still gonna be invest in stocks instead of paying back your mortgage, but there is a whole lot of arguments to be made there. And so if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, and thank you very much for watching.